Alrighty, welcome back to the Foxhole. Your faithful host Ken Harlan here, coming to you for another episode of AfterShoX, number 008. Doing something a little bit different this week, going audio as we were out in the field with two gentlemen that I proud to consider friends. My man Adam Smith and Lee Zimmerman, both major contributors to not only what's happened with Lane United, but moving forward with Cascades FC or Sporting Cascades FC, however you want to call it. You know, we've been talking for a while about having a promotion relegation out there, folks, for you non-lovers of the beautiful game live. Anyhow, we got together at Adam's house. Thanks you, Adam, for hosting. It was a fantastic conversation. So, chill, grab an adult beverage or something fun like that, and listen to our conversation about promotion and relegation with Lee and Adam. All right, folks, this is a special treat for me. It's only been, 3 or 4 years of the making as far as getting these two distinguished gentlemen who were, how I say this, was fortunate enough to invite myself and friend of the show, SJ, if SJ gets down into their tribe at Lane United, which is now Cascades FC.
Correct.
Sporting Cascades,
Yep.
whatever, Cascades FC. But my friends Adam and Lee, and Adam, thank you for opening your house up to this great meeting of the minds.
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Okay, so folks, this is the pro rel discussion I've been speaking about forever. AfterShoX episode 7 with Lee and Adam. So, you know, you guys can, whoever wants to go first, my first thing would be, tell us a little bit about yourselves and your connection to the beautiful game life.
All right. Sure. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I was introduced to the game early, probably early 90s, when it was hard to follow here in the States unless you had good print media or satellite connections. I was fortunate enough to have a best friend who had played the game in Europe, had played the game at here in America, and back in the 70s had touched base like in the NASL and opportunities like that. So somebody who was a real soccer lifer. So I really had a great mentor and somebody who introduced me to the game. And that was probably 89 or 90 when we met. And one of the first things we discussed was whatever soccer was happening, whether it be, Liverpool was big at the time. I remember Carlsberg, teams like that. So, so that was my introduction to it. Nuri was his name, and he had one of those big 10-foot satellite dishes that you used to be able to just search the cosmos and pull in every different things. He was from Africa, so he cut his teeth on African and South American football, Brazilian football, Argentinian. So that's some of the first soccer I ever watched was Argentinian and Brazilian. Then eventually, when you could see Serie A over the satellite, we watched a little bit of that, and then I saw my first Arsenal game.
Ooh, really?
And that was It was in the 90s. Dennis Bergkamp. It was the year right before Wenger came in. Ian Wright was still doing it, although he was on his last legs. But Bergkamp was my guy. So that was my introduction to European football, and that's why I'm Arsenal since 96 or 97, whenever that was. So, and then World Cups, I stayed pretty well plugged into the 2002 World Cup with South Korea, where the games were on at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning here on the West Coast. It was pretty crazy, so I remember those. 2006 was also a great World Cup. 2010, I took my entire 2010 vacation around the 2010 World Cup, and
that's what I'm talking about.
Did nothing but watch and geek out on that for 2 weeks. And then Nuri passed away unexpectedly in 2013. And that just happened to be the year that Lane United founded up.
Yep.
And I'd also started watching Timbers about 2010, 2011. And then Lane United came along, and that's where I met Lee, was at the very first Lane United kickoff party. And that started our local football journey, which we'll probably have chapters for in this conversation.
No doubt.
But yeah, in the last 25 years, I've just been a huge fan of the game, both locally, internationally. We're still Portland season ticket holders. We're still holding on to those tickets, so we're hardcore. We travel the miles. We go to road games. We just went to San Diego, and
We spend the money.
we spend the money and travel the steps to go do the things. So we're pretty much we're ultras, I'd consider.
Yeah, stuck in for sure.
Ain't no casuals up in here, people.
So
Only in presentation, but not in spirit.
my partner in crime over here.
Yep, that's it. Let's see. My background, played soccer in high school. Junior varsity, never made varsity, so I was not good. Enjoyed it, and then girls and surfing came into my field of range, so soccer took a backseat to that.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I'm sure that's not an uncommon scenario. Graduated and kind of got into a youth subculture, modernism, mods, skinheads, hard mods, ska scene, two-tone was real big at the time. Had some friends that were into that were also into football. They were kind of more involved in that than me, and so they kind of brought me along into that whole thing. So I played a lot of indoor post-high school, which is ironic. I grew up in Southern California, and you'd think it would be weird to have an indoor soccer dynamic in Southern California because the weather's so beautiful, but no, indoor's a thing in Southern California. The Soccers were big at the time, and they were all indoor. And so it's kind of in a pub league with mates down there in my scooter club and that subculture scene. And I had a friend, it was about 15 years my senior, his name was Edwin, that was a Chelsea fan, long ahead of me, kind of an Anglophile, really into, British culture, football insofar as it related to, youth subcultures as well. And so he invited me to some Chelsea watches. He was a big Chelsea fan. And so I used to go over to his house pretty regularly, and we'd watch Chelsea. And it's more of a social time for me, but he was really into it. So I was always impressed with the fact that he was so, intense about it. And I think I gleaned a bit from that. And it was just kind of a casual Chelsea fan for the most part.
Okay.
Moved to Oregon in the mid-'90s. My friend Ed was, Chelsea came for an exhibition match up in Seattle, and he called me and he said, "Hey, Chelsea's playing in Seattle." This was 2004. Excuse me. And so I came up from Eugene, and we went to see Chelsea play the Sounders in Seattle, and that was a hoot. Had a great time with that. Got to ingratiate myself more to the culture at that time. And a lot of Brits there in Seattle at the time, which was interesting to see them firsthand and see their approach to the beautiful game. And didn't really, just kind of was casually Chelsea observant, I guess, up until that time. Was always paying attention to like World Cup stuff. So in 2010, here in Eugene, which was not super soccer centric, I knew that the World Cup was coming up, so I was calling around to a lot of pubs to find out who might be showing the World Cup. And everybody was like, "Nah, we're not showing it. Nah, we're not showing it." Very duck-centric here, which is understandable. I get it. And I called over to Quackers at the time, and I said, "Hey, you guys, I'm interested in coming in to watch the World Cup. You guys showing that?" And they said, "No, we're not showing it, but there's a bunch of soccer people that hang out over at Annie's over on 28th and 20th and Willamette, right around 28th and close to Willamette.
What about
right
Mulligans?
Close to Mulligans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right there by Market of Choice.
Yes.
And they said, "Well, I think they're more Timbers people." And I said, "Okay, well, that's cool. It's good to know." So I did a little research, and then I started looking into the Timbers. And this was just the year prior to them joining MLS. They joined MLS in 2011. And so I went over there to Annie's, and they were indeed showing the World Cup. So I watched it, and there were some timber supporters there, and had some casual conversation with them just to kind of get a feel for it, and then started doing some internet research on the timbers and their history. And it took me about, I don't know, 2 years maybe. So 2010, I started hanging out. 2011, I did a lot of observing of the local supporters group, which was Echo Squad at the time. Okay. They had very infantile in their movement into the system, but there was 150 people, 200 people regularly showing up to their gigs, and I was just really watching just to see, because I always like to observe things before I kind of launch myself into it. I want to make sure I know what I'm getting myself into, and it was very embracive. Yeah, everybody was very, Brendan, who was kind of the guy that orchestrated the whole thing, was very kind, very unassuming, very embracive, and that just resonated with me. And so I just kind of started hanging out with them casually at first, and just hung out with them for a couple years. And then, like Adam said, 2013, Lane United, actually 2012, they technically started, but 2013 they formally started. Okay. So I met Adam in 2013, and he was so excited. And I was emceeing an event, the Lane United inaugural kind of event, and Adam won a signed jersey. It was signed by Mikhail Silvestri, and he won it. And I'm like, and the winner is, we pulled the ticket, Adam Smith. So he comes up, and he's just as excited as all get out.
Price is Right
style. Yeah, it was literally Price is Right.
For my prize.
Yeah. And I just remember thinking to myself, I got to get to, this guy is so excited. I was just attracted to his enthusiasm. And that was kind of the start of a beautiful brotherhood and friendship. And we've almost been inseparable ever since.
That was also right off the heel of Nuri's death. He'd have been there with me that night.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a bittersweet night for me to
no doubt
have been mourning, but all of a sudden, boom, I have these great new friendships that just wildfire, Tinder. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Well, as somebody who, I guess it came a little bit late to the party, but better late than never, and was here long enough to actually be embraced and a part of this great journey that you guys have been a part, I can definitely speak to, the openness and how quickly, obviously we worked at the same place, which kind of helped at the time, but in terms of how quickly I was embraced and never felt, weird or wanted or like had to be shy, as I tend, I'm a little bit shy as far as reaching out and interacting with people. But once, I started talking, I can't shut the F up.
Now he's giving himself away.
Yeah, right.
That's one of the many things we love about you. Yeah.
But I was so impressed at how you guys embraced myself, and then Steph, who obviously is known the Galluses and Jarbeau forever. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, this is cool. Why have I been doing this for all this time? And it's like, because I could have watched you guys for a long time from afar. I watched your streams, and like it's like I was telling Adam, I was like, okay, you're at Civic, you're in town. Yeah, okay, I have no excuse not to be out there. And that's kind of where it's like, I don't know if I can bike all the way over to Springfield.
That was the last excuse, was we finally started playing in town. It's like, okay, you're out of excuses.
It's like, get your ass down.
We already offered to buy your tickets. It's already on a Friday or a Saturday. Y'all got nothing going on. I know you got nothing going on. So that's when we finally looped you in, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get rocking and rolling here. So obviously I've been talking about this in my Beautiful Game Live segment in the regular Foxtrotting and the Foxhole podcast weekly, and had some interesting things to say about this pro-rel debate. Even more fun than Alexi Lawless, who likes to stir the pot when it comes to that. But,
sure.
So I'll start out with this one. Why is this topic so important to both of you?
Want me to start? I'll tell you why it's important to me. I have long understood, I think, more the European mindset with regards to pro-rel. And I think one of the things that the states have suffered from is a failure to embrace what has proven itself successful over the course of time. And we have failed to gain purchase in, the beautiful game is a global game. I mean, it's not even a question with regards to popularity. And I don't mean that popularity in a negative sense. I mean that in a way that, football, soccer, when I say football, I mean soccer. If I mean hand egg, I say American football.
Okay.
There's two distinct kind of dynamics happening there. So in the global sense of the word, the states need to move to pro rel if we hope to gain any purchase in the global football market, period. It's it the American franchise system is simply not, in my mind. So again, this is my belief, I'm not trying
That's
to
why we're here.
present it on anybody else. Is it's the world is shrinking, and you can't have to use a baseball analogy. You can't have a World Series that is only stateside based. It just doesn't work that way. We're not playing other countries in the World Series of baseball. But in the World Cup, you've got to produce, and you've got to produce globally. And I think we've, in the pro-rel model, I mean, every other country other than the United States uses the pro-rel model. Far and away, at least at their premier level. Maybe not in their lower leagues or their sub-tiers, but in their elevated tiers, they absolutely do. So for me, it's like, if we want to grow the game stateside, in my mind, we have to adopt what is universally accepted, not just stateside acceptable. So I'm just a big fan of it. I think it's going to do, I think the USL embracing the pro-rel model is going to do more to advance the game in a grand sense than the traditional American franchise model. I think we've suffered. I think the states have suffered promoting football, soccer in that sense because we've not developed the pro-rel model. And I think you're going to see a lot of a lot more people embracing football because of the pro-rel model that is globally accepted, with the exception of the United States. And and that's what I want to see. I want to see the game grow. I want to see it. The culture is lovely. It's multicultural in nature. I mean, there is a football culture specific, but football or soccer in specifically is very universal in its attraction for other country players. People that come, that reside in other countries, immigrants that become naturalized, whatever. It doesn't even really matter insofar as that's concerned. It's just people that love the sport and want to play the sport. And I think it's going to be the greatest promotion of the sport that we've seen to date. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that the American franchise model hasn't done something to promote the sport. The MLS has done, I think that they have a model that works within the American system or within our American culture.
No doubt.
But as far as like the next step, I think pro-rel is necessary for the next step. And I'm gonna stop with that. I'm just a big fan. I would love to see it. I think it's going to prove itself over time. I don't expect it to be immediate, but I do expect it to be semi-fast tracked insofar as making up for time that was lost in the American franchise model. I think it's going to gain us a lot of purchase in the global vision for what stateside soccer looks like.
I'll come at it from a much lower perspective. I mean, there's the global aspirations and there's the higher aspirations of spreading the game. It just makes for a better product. having a pro rel system provides subplots and sub stories, and it's not about who's number 1 and number 2. It's about who's number 19 and number 20. That's a compelling story. That's a story that isn't told here in the States. You can be the fucking Pittsburgh Pirates and suck into perpetuity, in forever, and be guaranteed a major league slot next year. There's no drama there. There's nothing compelling to watch. With a pro rel system, watching relegation games where there's something at risk, that can provide
Absolutely.
It makes the product better.
Yeah.
It's a more diverse product than watching two teams going nowhere beating each other in the face for no reason, like the American sports model is. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, you get to be top tier again next year anyway.
Yeah, it's like a knife fight for the last seat on the shame train, basically.
So as far as what they're trying to do here, it's compelling. It writes a different sports story. It's a narrative that's not told here in America. We don't have those underdog stories anymore. There is no mid-table baseball narrative.
Yeah.
If you're a mid-table 500 baseball team, you have nothing other than your core legion of fans and your broadcast rights. You've got nothing more than that. There's no more story to tell.
Yeah.
So having a league that provides a little more diversity in the way they approach the game, not without risks and not without problems, and that'll get sussed out. But the idea of it, to me, is compelling. It's something that I think sports fans will gravitate towards. It's not something they've seen before. So I think there will be some, hey, what is going on over here aspect of it. It'll take a little while, but that's what I'm excited for, is to kind of plant that seed here in the States.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a quick break and restart this because I've got some points to counter with on that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back with Adam and Lee, and I thought they just made some really eloquent points, as far as why the promotion side has some compelling arguments, as opposed to some of the people I know who look at you guys more as flat earthers and tinfoil hatters in terms of this, when it comes to the American sports model.
Nice. They said that about Copernicus. They said that about fucking Isaac Newton.
Yeah. Leonardo da Vinci got it too. I'll take it.
Leonardo got an earful.
That's good company to be
bullshit.
in. Yeah.
So one of the things that struck me in this conversation just now, and one of my talk to the folks is we spoke in a little pre-discussion leading up to the actual recording of this, just that when it comes to the stories you were talking about, so like with MLS, that 18 teams go to the playoffs, and there's 18 stories there, right? 9 on each conference. So it's not like there isn't stories to be told. I mean, I get what you're saying here, but I also feel that this argument is like, well, there's nothing compelling about what's going on with the MLS. And I go, well, there are 18 stories. People say that the MLS playoffs are long and drawn out, but I'm like, war soccer, that's a bad thing? I mean, how do you all feel about that in terms of that there are, lots of teams that do have an opportunity to go to the postseason. Mm-hmm. Their fan bases are engaged all the way up to decision day.
Mm-hmm. There are underdog stories. There are subplots. Mm-hmm. There are meaningful games that don't look like meaningful games. I see what you're going. I see what you're going for. That's true. But in the end, those teams end up getting their heads beat in. So time has proven that unless you're on a real shooting star, that's just not going to happen. Yeah. The eights are always going to get pummeled by the ones. Those 1-8, 2-7, even 3-6 matchups in MLS are just not great.
Yeah.
They're just one-sided. They're lopsided. I guess it's that way in NBA as well. I guess
sometimes, but
all your multi, when 10 teams get into the playoffs, you're going to get some of that in the early stage. But that does provide, you're right, that does provide a chance for a rising star, an underdog story. It's just not, it's a one-time thing, though. When you're talking about pro rel, you're talking about life or death. Are we gonna be this middling club, or are we actually going to achieve something? Or, hey, we better sack up and do what it needs to take to maintain our top tier ranking. You know, again, with those teams, there's compelling individual stories, but again, the slate gets wiped clean next year. Everybody starts with the same pot of money, the same broadcast rights money. Everybody starts whether you finish first or 10th. Yeah. Everybody gets the same cut of the pie, and the whole thing starts over again. So, you know, there's individual stories to be told in the middle of it, but it's not compelling for me. Look at Sunderland.
Yeah.
The Sunderland story, if anybody doesn't know about that, you know, that's you know, that to me is life and death, all in the same. You know? So that's what we're talking about here. It's just an emotional step up from the short plays you see in the season.
Okay, but I guess, you know, being devil's advocate once again, and, you know, folks that listen to my podcast kind of know I'm not strong either way on, you know, it's not life or death for me, only because I've kind of grown up in the American sports, you know, culture, and as we talked about, you know, pre-recording here earlier, as far as, you know, my mindset is concerned. But I often sit there and wonder, you know, especially, you know, we were kind of sitting there talking about all the things you guys have gone through with the Timbers and stuff like that. And I thought it was kind of compelling because you guys went to Minneapolis, went to San Diego, and so there's obviously a little lure there, even as flawed as this league is, you know. And we talked about this, and maybe you can elaborate with our audience out here in terms of, you know, where you have a problem with this current league, but you're still part of it.
I'll admit to some cognitive dissonance there.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
I've been caught in situations where out of one side of my mouth I'm, you know, maligning the league and the culture, and then next weekend I'm up there up to my eyebrows in it. So I do recognize that. I don't want to be a total hypocrite on any of that. I don't
appreciate that.
I don't mind MLS culture necessarily. I think it's just maybe it's the American sports model that I'm rebelling against. You know, like I talked about the whole, you can be the Pittsburgh Pirates and suck forever, and you just get a fresh pot of cash and start over as major league team next year. And that to me is just not how a sports league should work. And the rest of the world doesn't operate
literally
that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not, you know, it's kind of like the metric system. You know, when I was a kid, I remember they tried to introduce it. You were a kid in California. You're a California school kid.
Totally.
When that shit came along, I was like, now, hey, we're talking.
Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But the American culture just wouldn't have it. And so maybe I'm rebelling a little bit against that as well. I've always been a little more geared towards worldwide sports.
Okay.
Tennis, you know, cycling, even like F1 now.
Yeah.
There's different sports out there where America is not number one. You know, and there's different sports models and different sports
I can totally get
sorts
behind
of
that.
business models that I'm more attracted to, maybe.
Okay.
And so maybe I'm admitting to some of my bias against the American business sports model as opposed to anything else.
Which is extremely
maybe
flawed.
well, not maybe that I would say that's my primary
Okay.
rebel against it, and I do get caught up in it a little bit. So back to tying it into the stories about the individual season stories versus a pro rel situation. Pro rel is for life. That is your life. That is your death. It could be, you know, that to me just provides a not more compelling, a different story.
I like that.
Yeah.
A different story. You know, you can't maybe equate the two because they're different in time frames.
They are.
But I just think it's unique enough to try.
Yeah.
Okay.
It may fall on its face for all the reasons we'll talk about.
Sure, because
Yeah.
one of the things that makes me think about this, okay, so when I really wasn't, I just told you guys when I was late to the game, but kind of back in the day, out of the corner of my eye, I used to watch the Blackburn Rovers, you know, who won the Premier League in '95, and, you know, their whole rivalry with Burnley. And I watched Burnley flirt every couple of years with getting up into the Premier League, only to have a cup of coffee and they're back. And then I see a whole list of Blackburns and Sheffield Wednesdays who seem like they're banging their head against the wall. And then you get someone like Wrexham with all of this US-backed money that's like leapfrogging. And I'm like, I don't know. What do you guys think about that part of this whole pro-rel argument? Because people are trying to use Wrexham as, well, see, this is why it works. I'm like, well, no, that's a complete outlier. That's, if anything, this is more, they're more like an MLS kind of thing than they are.
Yeah, that's not representative of the path
Right.
at all.
No, I think
Take a crack at this
I
one.
think there's like in the case of Wrexham, it was unique. They had stateside investors, Rob and
What's his face?
the other guy,
Ryan.
Deadpool. Thank you.
Who's it and what's his face?
Yeah,
I
and
love that.
but the story. Here's the deal on that, Ken. The story is compelling.
It is truly.
And did they have money? Sure. Did they throw a lot of money at it? You bet. But you know what I think is the bigger story there? I think they got buy-in from. I think these guys came in. They were excited. Rob learned to speak Welsh.
Which is impressive.
Okay, this is we're not talking like just some dude that's just like, hey, I'm just throwing money at this fucking thing. Pardon my French.
That's okay.
This.
G-rated.
I mean, these guys embraced it. I mean, Rob and Ryan. I mean, they were stuck in. I mean, they got it. They understood it. They wanted to understand it more. It was available to them. They availed themselves to it. I think it was like a snowball effect. I think they came in, they saw it, arguably, okay, they saw it as an investment, right? But I don't think it stopped there. I think they really ramped up to the next level. I think they said, this isn't just an investment. These are human beings. This is a club. I mean, if you watch the Welcome to Wrexham series, I mean, their whole thing is, just them kind of growing in an understanding of the culture. And yeah, they were willing to throw money at it initially, but I think it became a much larger universe to them. And I think that they were able to just snowball that thing, and they had the finances, which is great. I mean,
Huge.
Okay, we live in a world that like finances are necessary, right? Like the bill collectors come and you got to pay the bill collectors. We get that part of it. But I don't think you can just boil it down to that alone. I think you have to say, there was a whole, like the Welsh people, like they loved it. They embraced it. It reinvigorated their entire approach to it. And I don't think you can discount that. I don't think you can discount, you can say finances are a huge part of it, and that's true. But you can't discount the spirit of what was happening there. And those are harder things to put tangible touch points on. But that doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yeah.
It just means they're harder to define. But if you, watch the Welcome to Wrexham series. I've watched it. I know Adam's watched it. You've probably watched it too. It's just, it's bigger than just what we see.
There's a word you said back there that intrigued me, and the word is reinvigorated.
Mm-hmm.
That was a club that had some history,
Mm-hmm.
and these are some people that got shit stolen from them, essentially. And so that's where the hunger and the desire and everything.
Yeah.
Here in the States, we don't have any of that. We're looking to invigorate for the first time. How do you can't evoke memories past. You can't rely on stories like that to establish what your future is going to be. And that's where I think USL is kind of venturing into that territory. It's like, we really don't have a lot of traditions to lean on. We have some examples that we'd like to emulate, right? And some cultures that we'd like to emulate. And so I think the owners, from the research that I've done, this was in talks as early as 22, 23.
Okay, that's
and
what it was.
even then they realized we're not ready.
Yeah.
The world isn't ready. The country isn't ready. But I think the announcement, this is pretty strategic. It's not going to happen until 28, and we'll get into reasons why. Mm-hmm. But announcing it now on the heels of the World Cup cycle that's coming up is a perfect way to catch that comet and ride that free publicity all the way into this, because we're about ready to reintroduce the American public to the world game again.
Yeah.
And so it's perfect timing to come along as an upstart league and say, that cool stuff that you see once every 4 years, we're going to be doing that every year. and see how the public reacts to it.
Yeah.
And once we get past that World Cup cycle, that will kind of, I'm hoping that'll be like a gravitational whip and kind of take that momentum, and people are go, yeah, that's right. This is the way. That's right. This is the way the game should be played, and that should be the wave that USL can ride.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think they've done it really well. They could have declared early and fizzled out. They could have, the demand has been there. But I think they've done this in a really good fashion, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a great question. I saw this great quote. It's so funny. I forget what. I think it was a Barca guy who was really bitter after they lost over the weekend, and he was
Got smashed over the weekend.
Yeah, smashed.
They did.
And he was like really cranky and kind of making
I'll bet. They're not used to getting smashed.
making a comment. He recently said, "Why, when it comes to the whole pro rel thing, why build a castle for somebody else to move in?" And I guess I laughed at that when I sat there and thought, all the things you guys were saying, especially when it comes to this whole USL thing, which we'll move closer into. But I just on top of that, when it comes to
that's a nice little slip of a segue there.
Yeah.
Approaching the meat of the conversation, I think.
Well, we try. But it's an interesting thing when I look at. There's so many things when it comes to what you guys are talking about, which has always made sense to me from day one since I've met both of you. And like I said, I'm not one of these people who's like, no, this is all BS. I'm just, kind of a realist and a dreamer at the same time. What could be, right? Sure. Maybe because I've been too poisoned by American sports, for me to have that same passion and optimism. But, I do see how this could work. I just have, some serious questions, which we'll get into.
Wow. Mountain of questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's just,
the concept, I think everybody, from a conceptual standpoint, is why not try it? Okay, well, let's take out the dozens of reasons or the dozens of barriers we're going to have. So it's still a worthy pursuit, but man, it's not going to be easy.
No. And, there's so many things that as we talked about. So let me ask this really quickly, because there's a lot of skepticism here. As we see, Liga MX is going to reinstate Pro Rel after getting rid of it after the pandemic. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of folks that were saying the way Liga MX does it was complete BS in terms of, yes, the second tier teams, grassroots push for it, but it's not. Am I going to say the implementation is still kind of shaky, if that makes any sense?
Sure. You're moving into the idea of parachute payments for the teams that drop, and then enhancement payments for the teams that come in. And the league economically is not ready to start subsidizing any of that. They were in a good place pre-pandemic to where it was just the system and you just paid the tax and you just did that. But now that they've stepped away from it, trying to dip a toe back into that water and realize how much money that's going to take, it's going to be the barrier there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because these owners got the taste of what it's like to be major league no matter what. And the idea of, I just built this new stadium to house X number of people, and there will be 1/3 X there next year, if at all. Not a super sexy enticement for someone to build,
Hey, it's to me.
And so that's
one
maybe
of the toughest stumbling blocks to get over.
I think that's probably, from an individual owner standpoint, that's absolutely the case here. And it was your comment about why build a castle for someone else to move in. You got these owners that are like, sure, I can, in 15,000 seat stadium, I can knock that out in a heartbeat. $20 million in operating expenses, fine. I could work that in, whatever. But the idea that you might get dropped, and your attendance and your exposure and your revenue goes down.
Yeah. Your advertising rights, your sponsorship rights.
You lose all your players. Your good players don't stick around when you get relegated, right? They all get siphoned off. So what's an American sports owner to do? That's not a super sexy investment.
Well, so let's look at, our our new master coming up. You know what, Sat, right? That's how you pronounce that.
Yep. Sat Densa.
Sat Densa. um, I'll use this as a rough example as far as one of the the pros and cons. Do you worry about someone like him chasing promotion and like spending recklessly? That's one of the first ones, like going, well, in order to chase promotion, are people, someone like him, are they going to do? I'm not saying he would, but I'm just saying someone like him. Are they going to damage the product by chasing promotion and having an unstable franchise?
I think that's a valid question, but I think the entry point is the top clubs. Before this thing goes anywhere, the USL has to launch that Division One league, and that's no small feat.
Yeah.
So all the rest of it is all window dressing until that happens. So back to your question,
Agreed.
The lower clubs like us can shout and scream and posture all we want and spend as much as we want, but until that top league gets established, this whole pyramid doesn't happen. You don't have a pyramid with 2 tiers. It's a duplex.
Right.
It's a townhouse. You don't get a pyramid out of that.
Upstairs, downstairs. Yep. That's it.
So back to it, coming from someone like Sat, of course, if you're looking to build and dream, yeah, of course you want to go as fast as you can, pedal to the metal. But if you're someone like someplace in Indy, Indy 11 or Detroit or those teams that are going to have to do the heavy lifting and promote themselves and spend and establish that league that they're going to consider to be on tier with MLS, that's where it all starts and begins for me.
Yeah.
And that's why the 27-20, and the idea can be implemented now, but there's just nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So until that top tier league gets established, this is all just conjecture. Yeah.
And that's the whole other part to that too, Ken, is that's where the U.S. Open Cup could be a real that could be a real gateway into how things are going to go going forward. MLS has been spotty with its embrace of the U.S. Open Cup.
Hostile.
Yeah.
Criminal.
Yeah. Arguably. And so, I've seen a lot of avoidance of the Open Cup by MLS clubs. Yeah, now the top tier ones, yes, they're more because they can come in and they can pretty much frickin' dominate. But I think as you see USL embrace this pro rel style, I think that's going to throw some big wrenches in the gears, and I'm looking forward to it. As far as I'm concerned, that's a compelling dynamic.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
If you're somebody like the Pittsburgh Riverhounds owner, aren't you just dying to stick it in the ribs of the Union right next door, or not next door, but in the same state?
Yeah.
And right in the heart of MLS territory down there in Columbus and those areas. If you're Pittsburgh Riverhounds, don't you think you want to step up and kind of smack them in the face? I do.
Yeah,
I think there's some owners out there that relish the opportunity to build an independent Division I franchise and go up against the likes, and maybe even create another cup competition against these clowns. And
yeah,
I can see some hungry USL Division I owners that would want that.
Yeah,
there's 10 markets. It's got to be at least 12, maybe 10. You can get away with it for 10. The first year, maybe 10.
You could. Yeah.
So getting 10 individual markets that meet all those standards, they got to have a minimum seating of 15K. The league is up the ownership's colon about financials. Do you have enough to sustain the losses that you're gonna take?
Yeah,
so
because you're gonna eat shit.
You're gonna eat some shit, and so they want to make sure that you have the capacity to absorb that.
Yeah.
So, can the league even get a Division I going? And then, let's be optimistic and say 28, they get it going. Those first-year investors, think they are going to risk losing it all on I don't think Pro Rel could even happen until the next year.
Yeah.
I don't think those top-level investors would want to stick their necks out that far because they're growing into it. They're learning what this league is. This is you're going to lose my franchise because we went through a 20-game season where we didn't know what we're doing. So the idea of pro rel hinges on getting that top tier established. Getting that top tier established depends on how many owners are willing to be that anchor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what
Yeah.
are they,
Yeah. To pony up.
to pony up.
Pony up to get them to that next stage. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's a great segue for where I want to go next, where we actually go to the U.S. in pro rel specifically. I mean, USL.
Yeah.
But back momentarily, folks. Okay, we're back after having a brief conversation about PSG, folks. You know, I never talk about my teams in my podcast too much. It's just they happen to be in the news all the time. But let's get to the heart of this. The USL and pro rel. And my first question is going to be a simple one, kind of a softball. But why should somebody like myself, let's say if I was because I am a cynic, when I look at the USL Women's Super League, you have to have a Hubble telescope to find out what the hell is going on with that league. Like it doesn't even exist. And my question to both of you guys is, why should I have confidence that the USL, given what I've seen with this Women's Super League, trust that they can do this with a top flight league to compete with the MLS?
Well, my argument would be you shouldn't.
Okay,
It's got to prove itself.
fair enough.
Absolutely. It's got to, do I believe it's going to prove itself? Absolutely. How long is that going to take? I have no fucking idea.
Okay, I like that answer.
But my second question would be, what are your options?
There's that. Very, very valid.
I mean, the options are you either get on board or you circulate in what currently exists. And I'm kind of like, I know what exists. That's established. That's reality. What exists is reality. But what I hope for is growth, purchase, exposure, proving. All of those things, I think, are worthwhile things.
What's it going to take to grab you and make you a USL fan? The play is technically better. If you're a real geek nerd about the way the game is played, from a team fashion, 11 players, USL's got a much better handle on that because they have to.
Yeah.
They play as a team because they don't have individual superstars. They don't have DPs. They don't have that model. Yeah. So they play more of the team game.
Yeah, they don't have the Messis. They don't have the Blangas.
It's going to attract those hardcore fans that want to see the game played at a more technical level.
I like that.
So MLS, you got $6 million player playing against a guy who makes $90K.
That disparity. It's hard
And
to argue
that's,
against.
That's not really, the $90K guy just doesn't have the skills to showcase. But the way the MLS is structured, that's the way that's the way the teams are constructed. Everyone has their Eric Millers, making $90K that come in and do the dirty work. In USL, you don't do that. Everybody's more or less on par. You're going to see a more team game. You're going to see the game played at a better technical level.
Because it has to be.
It's more of a team game played at that level. So if that's your bag, then I think USL's for you.
Yeah.
If you're like most American sports fans, you want to see your Messis, your Michael Jordans, your star-driven league, then that's going to be your MLS, right?
Okay.
So that's where it starts for me. And then like Lee says, it has to play out, right? In theory, you've got a really technically gifted league, but that's not very entertaining to watch for most people, right? So that's where that's where it has to play out.
Yeah.
And that's great segue.
And so I think that's where USL is coming in right out of the gate.
Okay.
Hey, we're not big and flashy and we don't have your Messi, but if you like good football played the right way, and with compelling pro rel stories to boot, then we got a league for you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is where the elephants in the room start to show up. And one of them would be,
Okay, so let's look at USL 1. And there are some interesting cities in there, obviously. A team out in the Antelope Valley for one, and Chattanooga and places. But I look at Eugene and Boise are both coming online in 2026. And I look at those two markets in particular because here in Eugene you have the Ducks, over in Boise, BSU, a story tradition that's woven into the community. It's like the community's identity in both of those places. How do you make inroads with this product in terms of convincing people, especially when there's only so many dollars and we know the kind of money people lay out to go see the Ducks over the course of football and basketball seasons?
Football and basketball for the Ducks is September through March.
Yes, that's correct.
Correct.
USL will be March through October, so there will be a whole spring, summer, into the early fall before football starts.
Yeah.
Where people got nothing else to do.
Yeah. Opposing seasons. Yeah.
So, of course, when college football starts in September, that's going to dip, of course. But until then, these people ain't got nothing to do. The Emeralds have bugged out. There's going to be no more minor league baseball.
Locally.
Which is huge.
Yeah, that's out.
Right? So there's just not a whole lot to do. So I think that's going to weigh to our advantage is that we just play that off schedule. We can't compete directly against the Ducks.
Oh,
you
no.
can't compete directly against NFL and NBA and all of that. So you got to play a little bit of the off season. So the MLS is the only other competition during that cycle. And again, I think there's enough of an American market and an international market for both TV contracts to thrive.
Yeah.
There's going to be an MLS Pass is going to do what it does and not going to slow down. But I think USL, once ESPN's on board, there's ESPN and CBS is also on board for broadcasting rights.
Which is very key.
Yeah.
So I
Exposure.
think it's going to be not necessarily in direct competition.
Okay.
So that works to our advantage starting in March, unless the Ducks run through March Madness in basketball or something. There's no football competition. There's no other collegiate sports going on at that point. So I think our schedule gives us an advantage to that.
Sure,
question.
because for folks that don't know, but
Not dumb enough to try to compete directly
yeah.
for 6 months against U of O. That'd be suicide.
Yeah.
as I've brought up in my regular Fox Running and the Foxhole podcast, many times when I talked about the old USL2 club that so dear to our hearts, was that it was like speed dating, and basically
Swipe left, swipe right.
swipe
Yeah.
left, and then boom, it's gone. Like, hey, I really wanted to go out there, but it's
I wanted to ask you another question, but
yeah. And so I do agree with you wholeheartedly that having a 10-month season, there is a chance to build a culture and get people on
Absolutely.
board.
there will be ebbs and flows.
Absolutely.
We will absolutely lose head-to-head against Oregon Athletics.
Yeah.
Period. People that were dyed-in-the-wool Cascade fans, as soon as that college football season, see it.
They blow.
And,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So back to your question, how does this league survive? Is that 6 months in the middle
Okay.
Yeah.
where and we can. That's enough to build a momentum.
I agree.
The Emeralds
That's half a year.
The Emeralds
That's
did
half
that.
a year.
The Emeralds played for
Yep.
4 months and
Yep.
built a cult out of it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
so there's definitely a way to, fill a
Parlay that.
parlay that into a 3,000 to 4,000 person attendance each game.
Yeah.
Which is really all we've ever wanted.
Yeah.
And the truth to me at least, is somebody who at one time, and we probably all have at one time or another, have been involved in the Ducks orbit, indirectly or directly, that in the 3 decades I've been here, there is a significant people who have a great disdain for Phil and his money
Tired
and
of
what
it,
that.
you
Just
know?
kind of
I graduated. I'm a Duck, but you're just constantly bombarded by it. And yes, there are a fair number of people that live outside. They think of Eugene as a college town. Well, the core 30,000 around the university, but there's still 200,000 people in this community
Peripherally. Yeah.
that don't give two shits about what happens down there.
Well,
Yeah.
sure, and
Yeah.
it's and with the preponderance of social media and needing to be there and take your freaking selfie and all that nonsense.
That they do have the edge on the hype train.
Well, sure.
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
It is the younger set, of
But
course.
at the same time,
the younger set drives that social presence,
well, when
right?
I look at, we're on social media and whatnot, and for this game this weekend against Indiana, people selling a pair of tickets for $600. And I'm sitting here thinking for Indiana, which is, Indiana's a lot better than they have been in the past, but I'm still thinking.
They're top 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top 10.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm still
That's a
thinking
marquee matchup.
$600 to take you and your lady to the Dut game is just, really mind-blowing to me. And I look at what this potentially has to offer, and I'm sure it's going to be reasonably priced in the beginning, or at least I hope.
I think
God,
we were we were raised with Eugene Emeralds, the old school Eugene Emeralds, $5 and $2 beer night,
Yeah.
$2 hot dogs for the kids, kind of thing. You could definitely make a following out of that. It's not minor league baseball shtick necessarily. Oh, it has elements of that though. The place we play, there's plenty of opportunity for the kidlets to run around and be in a supervised area and still get loose and have the parents
Family friendly.
Yeah, just like parents at a baseball game will, let their kids run wild for an inning or two and have a beer, and so there's plenty of opportunity for that.
There
And
is.
so I think as an entertainment product too. At our level, it's not just about the game; it's about being an entertainment.
Well,
product.
sure. And I have to say, though, when you bring up the Emeralds, what intrigues me about the potential of Cascades FC is, okay, ever since the whole tragedy at Civic, building down that beautiful facility, there was when they went out to PK Park, it's more gimmicky. It's all about, hey, get the well blowing up jersey and all that kind of stuff. And I just feel that there's just something that's not really unique. That all died when they abandoned Civic and went out to be part of the UFO's orbit. And look what that got them. They're on their way to Boise. Or not Boise, but Medford, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Cascades has a really good chance because there's just literally not else to do besides the beautiful weather and the coast and the mountains and the vacations and everything. But for the bulk people that work and just want to go down and have a good time on a Friday night,
Yeah. A little bit of escapism. You
games
bet.
up and down in 2 hours, you can have a couple beers and you get home before dark.
Yeah.
So it's a great entertainment product. It always has been.
Okay. So let's talk about the product then. This is one that's kind of, it's always in the back of my mind that I'm, looking at the expansion that USL 1 is doing and some of the cities that are not in the American orbit. They're not really known about that, right? When you sit there and think about Chattanooga, they've got the Lookouts, the minor league team, but nobody really knows about that kind of stuff.
The top 10 or 12 teams that are looking to make USL Division 1, you've heard of these teams, you've heard of these cities. There's there's Phoenix, there's Las
DCFC.
Vegas, there's Louisville, there's Las Vegas, there's New Mexico,
Absolutely.
Sacramento, Indy 11,
Right.
Detroit City.
Yeah.
So these are not unknowns. These are not Johnny come lately cities. These are
Yeah, they've been circulating
and
for
they're
a while.
also cities that have been building USL level style, fan base, and culture.
True. That's all.
The last 3 or 4 great USL clubs got siphoned by MLS.
This is all true
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
that shows how strong the USL base can
I like that.
to the point where it's like, a startup gets so big that Google goes, I'm just going to buy that. It's going to take us over unless we buy it.
But there's something.
So I think there's a little bit of fear there from MLS that, a club like Cincinnati could have succeeded at USL level and drawn 20K people and, not charged $57 a ticket and,
Right.
made it prohibitively expensive. They could have really been a threat to a major league club there. San Diego, same way. Loyal could have easily.
Yeah.
The Loyal, if they were allowed to continue, could have easily captured 20,000 people.
Easily.
Totally.
Easily.
Totally.
As a San Diego native, I can tell you for sure that's the case.
A
lot of bitterness.
so there's some there's some viability out there. These teams that are competing for this are not lower tier teams. These are cities. They're cities of over 1 million people.
But when you say that, and I'm not disagreeing at all, But I guess, being devil's advocate, I guess that's what I do as a moderator here.
That's why we love you, Ken.
Yeah.
That's what debate is. There is
Yeah.
no point without counterpoint.
Yeah.
But, okay, so when I look at this, in terms of this growing and being an entity and, becoming something that is globally respected and getting, the American populace to buy in, how does this league capture the hearts and minds where people are going to say, I care about what's going on with a team in Eugene or Chattanooga? What's the appeal in this nation? And there's so many things like the WNBA, which is growing crazily. There's so many other things that are happening right now that are becoming very popular.
Yeah, that's a really great question.
It is.
Marketing is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Same here.
I don't know what those mechanisms are anymore. They're not the traditional mechanisms anymore. There's sponsorships. Of course, these clubs can look to align themselves with sponsors that draw a more diverse audience or a bigger audience, right? It's probably
More
not,
varied audience.
It's not even beyond a club to latch on to an organization. Like you saw Barca sport those UNICEF kits for a couple years, so something like that is not beyond the possibility. Again, back to how do you attract, how do you build, and that's what's unique about this is there is really no prior thing to build on. You're not trying to recapture anything. You're trying to build something from square.
Yeah, a lot of it's learn as you go.
Truly.
And I think a lot of people but honestly, Ken, I think a lot of people like that. I think they're like, yeah, I don't know, but I want to, whatever it is, I want to figure it out.
I want to,
because everything is figure outable.
Again, all these, back to your original question, what's going to establish this USL Division One? What's going to compel people to, there's a Miami versus Atlanta MLS game, but there's a Phoenix Rising versus Detroit City game. What's going to be the, what drives you? They don't have the marketing capacity to match MLS, right? So you just can't. USL can't just blast you out of through every orifice about their existence and their games and their stars. So that's a really great question. How does this league pimp itself? How do you promote yourself? How do you get out there and from I like in Louisville, the 15,000 people there, you don't have to convince those people.
Right.
But ESPN, ready to give out broadcast contracts, what's convincing those guys?
Right. Yeah.
What makes me, I'm an ESPN executive, what is it about this league and this game and the potential that makes me want to tell my bosses, let's spend $1 billion on that? And what is that? And again, I think maybe back to what we started with. I think it's just it's something different. Yep. Americans like something, what's shiny, what's that? You might get a couple of year bump out of that. And then you'll get some retention because, again, I truly think the league is more technically proficient. The players are better.
Agreed.
Overall. Yep. Short of the superstars you have, I think. So you're going to get a lot of retention out of that. Once the league starts and the real hardcores start to see the quality of the league, you're going to get a lot of retention out of that.
Yep.
And those people can bring in some international pull and attention and to help promote this league. It's going to take some outside dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
So the idea of appealing to foreign, like we were talking about PSG, Atletico Madrid, for example, has adopted a team in Ontario, Canada, sponsored them, kitted them, did the whole bit so that they spread their Atletico brand. So the USL could be prime for something like that. You could see some satellite.
Yeah. Where MLS would never entertain anything like that.
Top European club says, "Wow, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, let's outfit you in some nice, red and white Atletico stripes and give you some money and get you some support and get you some coverage and get you some exposure."
Yeah. There's something to be said about that because one of the fascinating things that I've found in my MLS fandom over years, are all these quirky folks in the UK who are up at weird hours of the night commenting on X about, this fangled MLS. I don't know why I'm watching, and I'm sort of sitting there thinking, they would probably be more attuned because there are people who are, I'm not going to say it's a huge number, but it's growing every year in terms of folks who are always commenting like, yeah, I became an LAFC fan, or I'm, Rose City till I die, from England, from Wales and Ireland and Scotland. And so
There's something different for them
Yes.
too. So
Yeah.
absolutely,
Big
because
deal.
you can't get enough footy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. All right, let's take another break here because we're about at the 20-minute mark, and then let's queue up another session. Okay, folks, welcome back to AfterShoX, rocking it with Adam and Lee. We're cooking up in here, and so we've in between segments we've been having conversations, great banner, and so now I guess we want to kind of move into the more difficult aspects of it, some of the issues you guys see, what might be obstacles, because I know in my head I'm already looking at some of the clubs who have failed since the pandemic. It's not as big as I thought it was, because there always seemed like they were about to go under, and at the last minute, somebody comes to the rescue and saves the day. So what do you guys think in terms of, you said it best, Lee. There's no template for this.
Right.
So we have no idea what the bar is for success or failure, and what's going to constitute somebody in year 2 or 3 all of a sudden going tits up and having to shutter the whole operation.
Right. Yeah.
or get by with a whole lot less revenue.
Yeah.
There's certainly that.
Yeah.
So, if I may,
Absolutely.
Did a little bit of work on this. Yeah, it all starts with that top tier of teams, right? The teams that are the 12 teams that are going to be bold enough to dare compete and say they're Division I teams. There's a lot of requirements for that. The first being stadium capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Minimum 15,000 to be considered a Division I, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Indy 11 draws 15,000, but they play in that Lucas Oil, like Indianapolis Dome,
Mm-hmm. The Colts
where you
play,
feel like you're like the junior varsity team in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just not just not where you want to play. So there's, but an ownership group in Indy would absolutely, be able to go out there and find, create their own 20,000 capacity stadium, make it multi-purpose, and then if they do get relegated, they might be able to absorb that. There already used to be in championship teams, there used to be in middle tier teams as it is, so they're not going to lose anything there.
Right.
Fair. Yep.
So it just becomes a matter of who are these 12 cities, teams, clubs that are going to be bold enough to jump up and do the investment and say, we're the new top tier, we're the ones setting the tone. What does that Division I league look like? It's better come out of the gate strong. It better come out of the gate ready to swing, because you're going to be competing directly against MLS at that point.
Yeah.
But someone like an Indy 11 or a Pittsburgh Riverhound, don't you think they want to take a swing?
Oh, there's no doubt.
At your Columbus,
You bet
and
they
your
do.
St. Louis, and your Philly Union. If I'm Pittsburgh Riverhounds, I absolutely want to come out swinging against Union, against Columbus, against Cincinnati, St. Louis.
And I'm, for me personally, I'm generally your ego is not your amigo, right? Okay. But in this situation, that's I'm talking about a very different dynamic. Absolutely. You want to assert yourself.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, listen, man, I'm not here to screw around. I'm here to fucking win silverware and fucking hardware.
And take your fans.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here to take your fans. So who are these Mavericks? Who are these owners?
Okay.
The indie guy, from what I understand, is pretty eager to start swinging.
Yeah.
This Pittsburgh Riverhounds guy,
Yeah.
also eager to start mixing it up a little bit.
Sat
And
definitely wants to swing in the Pacific Northwest at least. And I don't know, maybe that'll build over time. Maybe he'll be like, fuck yeah, I'm going to dominate the Pacific Northwest. And now I'm ready to dominate the West Coast. And now I'm ready to dominate the Midwest as well.
Who are these
knows?
people and what are their resources?
Yeah.
So along those lines, you guys are going to there's my head's about to explode, with all these different points coming at me. And I meant to bring this up a little while ago. And you like reignited that when you said, okay, like 15K. So these teams are coming up. So we're at what, 5K maybe that can hold?
No,
No,
35.
35.
35. Yeah.
So how does that translate?
Now, which part of the pyramid are you looking at, from the bottom up or the top
Yeah,
down?
because
From the bottom up.
let's just say,
From the
Seth
bottom
puts
up,
together a team
Yeah.
that is a badass and is able to.
If you're Sat, he's already got eyes on that property for expansion. That's one of the very first things he said.
Okay, that's what I was curious. I did not know that.
So those, so Boise, I would imagine, are playing in a place where expansion probably won't be a problem.
Okay,
Spokane already plays in a place, I would imagine, where expansion is not a problem.
okay.
These newer clubs, some of these candidate clubs like Indy 11, they're gonna need to build their own shit, or play at some collegiate football stadium for a couple of years or something to meet the minimum requirement.
Right.
So in our situation, would it be about basically taking what they already have on this side, having end zones, and then the other side to get to 15K?
Add another tier to
Another
the
tier.
To the Willamette Streets, to the
Okay.
west,
Yeah.
to the west side.
Okay.
Yeah. West side.
And
West side
then,
expansion.
and then build a south and north end probably.
Okay.
That big building is in the way on the east side,
Yeah.
so I don't know what that would look like.
You could go vertically and probably get another grand in there.
We could absolutely just raise that fucker to the ground.
Yeah.
Another story.
Yes, absolutely. You start talking about Bev Smith,
No.
we'll be here all night.
No hard feelings.
If the market warrants it, I guarantee you there's options there.
Oh.
If the market warrants it. And do I think the market warrants it? I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's yet to be determined for sure.
So let's expand a little bit here. Let's say the top tier does get their shit together. Your Indies, your Pittsburghs, your Las Vegases, they do decide, we're going to bond together. We're going to launch this league. Okay, great. That sets the lower league teams in motion now, right? Because now the possibility to move up is alive. Right now it's just a pipe dream.
Something to fight for.
So again, the establishment of that big league will drive everything below it.
Sure, and there's a lot of questions to be asked. So one of the examples I'll bring up is the Sacramento Republic. They had their flirtation with MLS, the pandemic, and the guy got cold feet.
Yeah.
And now with this whole BS with the A's,
$500 million entry fee is a little barrier
That's a big fucking number
to plan. So
and they're trying to obviously get a better crib for the Republic, and they're kind of running into growing pains because there's so many things going on in Sacramento. Sac State's trying to become a legitimate football power.
Right.
You've got this BS with the A's and the River Cats.
it's a $2 million plus metro area that's just begging for better. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of desire and need there.
And you sit there and see some of the issues they're having trying to get this stadium. Obviously you've got the renderings. Everybody's got a nice cool rendering of what could be the actual execution of it all.
Yes.
And I just use that as an example, going, this is the growing pains that they're kind of experiencing, I guess. It makes me take a pause, not a hard pause, because I think you guys are making some very compelling arguments as to why, full steam ahead. But, I would be remiss to not sit there and say, I'm seeing on the ground where a lot of people, just because they want it to happen, doesn't necessarily, all the pieces aren't there to make this, the next move.
Yeah, you're right. It could make sense on paper. You could check all those boxes and go, boom, we're league ready. But are you? There's all those intangibles that you speak of.
Well, and it's I think part of it too. I got a lot of friends in Sacramento. I thought Sacramento Republic was going to get the nod last season. I absolutely thought that was going to happen. They have a huge fan base.
They should have over Cincy that year.
Absolutely, they should have. But
Charlotte,
yeah, right. I mean,
come on, man.
There's so many variables there, and then San Diego got the nod. My hometown. I couldn't believe it, but then I saw. The knucklehead, who's the San Diego FC knucklehead.
Donovan?
Yes, thank you. Landon Donovan. That's a name. That's a name with purchase.
He sold
And-
out.
yeah.
He sold
mean-
his soul.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, they were able to make it happen.
Yes, they were.
So it's not like, again, right? It's not where you're from, it's where you're at. Sure. So, they were there, but I was super surprised. I mean, I had so many friends in Sacramento that were like, they were so hardcore for it. They were so ready for it. They so wanted it. They so were like ready to invest in it. They had the fan base.
Sure.
But
You had
without
Rebecca
the
Lowe
money,
out there,
without the money,
the ball pumps for her husband. Yeah.
Something else besides, the USL is not exactly utopia.
Thank you.
The USL is owned by
Totally
two
agree.
individuals. And the teams are just franchised like your fucking Subway.
Great
The
analogy.
league,
or Applebee's.
the fucking Sacramento Republic, you think they get any league revenues?
No.
You think they get any of those broadcast rights that they just secured? No.
No.
So the USL is not an innocent utopian place where everyone's equal, right? There's some challenges there.
Yeah.
I think the two dudes that own it are not stupid, and I think they realize that everyone needs to get a cut of this pie. Otherwise, there's going to be an eat the rich situation going on. Off with their heads, pitchforks and torches.
Pitchforks and torches.
So
true.
So that'll be interesting. But currently, right now, USL championship teams, they don't get fuck from the league.
Yeah.
Those guys. On their side, they say, well, we lose money, and they do. And that's why right now, currently in the economic system in USL, there are no broadcast rights to fight over.
Yeah. In the current system.
Pro-rel all over the rest of the world, you're losing out on your cut of the $1 billion rights deal or whatever,
sure.
right? USL didn't have that problem, man. They got zero in
And that's
that
huge,
department.
because
But as this starts to ramp up, they've already secured broadcast rights with the likes of ESPN and CBS.
sure, ESPN
So
Plus
this
is
new league will also command some big dollars. I think the owners are not dumb, and I think the teams are not going to be taken advantage of. So there will be some sort of revenue sharing agreement akin to, like a regular league.
Well, sure, because when I was, we were joking earlier when I was talking about PSG and Liga. What is the thing that has kept that league basically a step behind? The failure to get a good global deal. This whole thing with beIN Sports, and because remember beIN Sports had everybody, which
Yes.
was crazy.
They did. Yes.
And it was almost kind of free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could just.
Yeah, there was like 2 or 3 years there where like they were like the shit.
If
Yeah.
you were a Comcast subscriber, you just get for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who was in charge of that business negotiation, but they should be fired.
But pretty much that is why that league is backwater, because of their failure to secure a good global media rights deal.
Right.
So what do broadcast companies want? They want a good, compelling product, right?
Yes.
They don't give
Yeah.
a shit what it is. It needs to draw eyeballs, and
Yes.
so new stories, new teams.
It's an algorithm.
New
It's an
cities.
algorithm. It's a football algorithm every fucking time.
Same people that are like New Mexico United. What the hell? Click.
Yeah.
That's
That draws it.
that right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the newness is gonna contribute to that as well. But the long-term viability is yet to be seen. It won't be long before those top-tier teams start to try to break those salary cap rules and bring in, because they're competing against one another, right? They're not all 12 kumbaya teams up there trying to do it all together. Fuck that. I'm trying, so there's what I fear is that top league will get established. Okay, all this gets put in motion. Okay, all the great. But then the arms race begins.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the USL 1 teams don't want to fucking get dropped. So they're going to go get your, they're going to overpay for your, and it's going to, that's just the competition model.
Then it becomes a money game.
Yeah. And
Again.
Once those USL 1, Division 1 teams get Division 1, they're not going to want to give that up easily.
Sure.
So
And
then the arms race begins.
that's where this
So
gets,
so it's not so altruistic in the sense that
Sure.
the little man gets to no.
No, that's where this gets really compelling because when I sit there, and maybe it's because I've watched you guys and what you guys have built with Lane United, and completely grassroots.
Cascades.
Well, let's go back to Lane United first.
Yeah, yep,
Just,
absolutely.
that
was the launch point,
Yeah,
for sure.
that grassroots. That I just sit there and see this in the big picture and just go, my God, how does that? How do we go from here to here? Playing the big boys game. It's like, right, you guys have got people, you're housing, players and that kind of stuff. And,
Right.
Those grassroots things to get that base going, right?
Yeah.
To get that idea established, to get that franchise, the club established, took those days.
Right.
And that's where SAT was able to come in and go, look, I need to buy something that's ready, like shovel ready.
Shovel ready.
I don't
turnkey, almost.
right, turnkey,
Yeah.
turnkey situation. So that's where again, I think for our old school Lane United fans, this is just a turn of the page. This is what we expected all along. It's just for our brand of football.
This is what we were hoping for.
To get promoted,
So back up a step there, because I know we've kind of talked about this before, but not really. So in 2013, 2014, this was always the vision
Yes.
for you guys where this
Yes.
was going to ultimately end up.
in 2013, we were all going to have jetpacks and play top league football and be on the TV. By 2016, you watch.
Yeah.
None of that shit happened. So what did happen is that when we got into 2013, the league was eager to have presence in the Northwest, right? Pretty
Yep.
soccer mad region. So they threw out the 3 years and $250,000 entry fee, and you can be our top tier league. Here you go. So that's what we bought into.
Yep.
It was
That was what was pitched, and that was what we
the
grasped.
The 2014 World Cup cycle happened.
Okay.
And American investors went, ooh, more stuff I can co-op to make money from.
Yep.
So that's when you started seeing the ownership, the kind of the gobbling up and establishment of these lower league teams. And it didn't take 3 years and $250,000 anymore. It took 5 years and $1 million. And that just priced us out. And we had to wait for all that shit to settle down.
Yeah.
And Lane United for 10 years was just percolating, just middling, waiting for that market to reopen. And it took 10 years for that window to pop open.
And even then, it wasn't an easy go.
And even then, and it took a unicorn investor to step in and said, I'll eat all the shit you want for however many years you want. That's a pretty rare unicorn you got right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody who recognizes I'll eat shit for 4 years before I make $1.
Yeah, you have to have the brass balls, as we talked about. When you talk about the Ducks and something that's only going to grow bigger in this whole new normal with NIL and, the stakes are ridiculous in terms of where college sports is going. And so, I was trying to talk to somebody the other day about this, and, I'm kind of rambling here for a second, but there's a point to it. And we were like going, well, this is all going to blow up because all the kids are playing soccer and that's going to change and football's going to lose its popularity. I'm like, football is getting more popular, especially with the American football, that is, people. Between 15 and 45, that demographic, it's not receding. And that's why I'm really fascinated with
The population isn't exactly receding.
There's that too.
So you would expect that level of interest to grow proportionately, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
70% of American kids are football fans. Guess what? That's gonna be the trend.
Yeah.
Football's not going anywhere.
Absolutely.
Now there are more numbers in our realm, and it's noticeable.
Oh, absolutely.
Is it a threat to the 70%? No.
No. It's as I call it, football universe, right? That's a crack that
And you made a comment earlier. There's a lot of backlash against that. So having something USL style that's a little more compelling and a little more home feeling.
Yeah.
We're actually going to have players that we can latch onto for the first time in our amateur days.
Yep.
We have people that would come and play and they'd leave, and we just never got that real opportunity. We're going to have an opportunity to latch on to players.
Glom onto them.
And have multi-year players and develop a culture that way. We've never had that before. That's
Sure.
really pretty
That's
cool.
huge because
And that's compelling to people. Is university by design, they turn over.
Yeah.
There's a new face every year, and
Yeah.
so
Or every 1 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Gone.
but, but having
Marcus Mariota's
sure.
where
And-
now? Where now?
but having some hometown that you believe in, where it's the same guy. You have your Diego Chara like guy that is like your root and your soul, and people rally around that, back to entertainment product and back to stories and back to what drives people to come to the games. We're going to have the ability to establish some personalities and some culture that hopefully people will look at and go, that's something I've not seen before. So let's,
Yeah.
One of the things, I guess, for me, the parallel I'm going to draw for this, this going back to the whole college thing. So as I was saying earlier, I went to see Sun go Matadors. Always, ride red and black till I die. What I liked about going to a commuter school in Southern California in the shadow of UCLA and UCLA and USC. Is we used to say that, you're too poor to get into USC and you're not smart enough to go to UCLA, you end up in CSUN. It's this big commuter school. The thing is, we get to be a part of, following the teams. Like, here at U of O, you're paying, but the students, they're not really part of it other than getting their, the camera shows and game day and hey, mom, send more money.
Yeah.
Where when I was at CSUN, I remember sitting, watching film with the coaches with the university president. It's like, you're not going to get that experience
Right.
here. And we have that opportunity to have that experience where we get to go up and talk to Sat.
Again,
Right.
Again, back to things you don't already have in your
Yeah.
community, right? Compelling stories, new
Right.
things,
Right.
new stories, new products, new things to glom onto.
Yeah.
So we will have that, but how do we take advantage of it? I'm hoping that our new organization here will be. It's already more professional than it's ever been.
Agreed.
There's already professional marketing people and graphics people and relation people
Yeah.
on the scene.
Yeah.
So I'm already
They have a team.
Community relations.
They have
Like
a team.
that. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that the kid announcement the other night wouldn't have happened without the PR team they hired. So they are getting more professional. They are starting to understand. It's not just about getting loyal 1%, 2% yucks like us. It's about you got to appeal to the broader audience now.
Right.
How do we do that against people that are already satiated with options and things to do?
Ridiculous amount of options.
And all these other USL championship teams or Division I teams we're talking about also, these owners are like, shit, I'm competing against concerts and state fairs and graduations and I need my stadium full.
Yeah.
And I'm pulling into the time of the year where people have just got other shit to do.
Which is always going to be.
So
Lots of pulling opposite directions.
So from every ownership perspective in the USL has that to deal with, but that top tier definitely. Who are those brave individuals that are ready to just bolt out the gate and commit and do that? I'm waiting to see how that transpires.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of it too, Ken, I think is it's like it's a big part of football culture is support local. Like support local football. Like that's a thing. Like there was T-shirts. People printed up T-shirts that support local football. Like it's a very simple.
Those people were us.
Yeah. Yeah. They were us, and there were other people, and people like us, right? And like, I'm not trying to live in a fucking echo chamber. No. It's like, that resonates with me. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. 3 days ago, I get a fucking text from the coach for Sporting Cascades. He's like, oh, hey, check out these new Sambas. These new...
Gazelles?
Yeah, they were the Gazelles. They were, yeah, John.
Okay.
He says, hey, check out these new Gazelles. They're Dia de los Muertos. Gazelle, Sambas.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
the Sambas,
and I'm like, fucking, like, the coach for your local club reaching out to you. So granted, okay, we've been there a while, right? So I get that, I appreciate that, but it's not. I don't look at that as like a an advantage. I just look at it as like, it's just a relationship, right? So we're talking about relationship here, right? We're not talking about like some distant bullshit. Like MLS, it's like, you know, like I'm not going to fucking text Merritt Paulson about the Timbers or some bullshit. But like the coach is like reaching out to Adam and I. He's like, hey, check out these new sambas. They're like DSD, and
Steve
it's like
Sorono is not going to come up to me and say, "Hey, kid, what are you doing?"
exactly. And I'm just like,
I think this whole discussion would be remiss if I didn't bring up the mighty Detroit City.
yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Funny enough, those fuckers yelled at us for going USL 5. We'll let that go on. Yeah. We'll let that go.
Yeah.
But they're the ones from a grassroots perspective that have been able to turn things around and change minds
Yes.
and engage entire sectors of people.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good model to follow. I think there are just so many compelling USL stories around the country.
Yeah.
MLS stories are just, oh, we bought a club, here we are, hooray! The San Diego thing was so sterile.
It was.
Oh my
Here,
god, it was
yeah.
so sterile.
Yeah.
They
I know where you're going with this.
They had 2 goals waved off for offside. We're 200 fucking meters away from where it happened. You can clearly see the flag. As soon as the ball hits the net, smoke goes off. Jumbotron.
Fireworks, Jumbotron, yeah.
27,000 people going nuts because they don't understand anything. And we're all pointing at the one dude with the flag. It's like
no soup for you.
that happened twice.
Yes.
Oh,
2 times in the same match.
And then in that same match, one of our guys slid down to block a shot in the box. It clearly hit his leg, and the on-field ref panicked and called handball.
Yeah.
27,000 people. Oh, hey! And we're up there, cool as cucumbers, going. It's gonna get wiped.
No, it's gonna get wiped.
It's
Yeah.
gonna wiped away.
All right, folks. We need to take a quick break so we can restart and,
All right.
Reorient. Yeah.
Okay, welcome back, folks, to the Foxhole. The Foxhole is actually in Adam's lair. Okay, I gotta throw a curveball here. It's 2025, and I don't know, whatever, 200 and something days away from the World Cup. I gotta ask the state of the United States men's national team. 'Cause I know you guys,
Oh, my God.
I gotta ask. Is this product broken? Is there a possible fix? And how do you see Ponch's boys doing it next
Yes,
World Cup?
no, out in the
Agreed.
No. Good question. I want to give it all seriousness, but really, no, there's not a compelling product there for me.
No, me neither.
Got a bunch of tattooed millionaires that play for their clubs, and that's great. But there's no sense of any sort of tradition, or we're not trying to rescue any great soccer tradition. So it's not like these kids are looking to do what Romario did, or did what fucking Beckenbauer did, or any of that. There's none of these young American, gee, I want to be like Kobe Jones.
Yeah.
That's just not happening here in America.
No.
No one wants to be Clint Dempsey.
Yeah.
No one wants to be Landon Donovan. So the rest of the world has got us in spades on that. The rest of the world has players. I want to be the next Beckenbauer. I want to be the next fucking Jack Grealish. I want to be the next. They have people they want to emulate. And
Yeah.
the U.S. men just are not players that young players want to emulate. We have good players.
Sure, absolutely. And they're
We have.
doing...
Well, let me rephrase that. We have adequate players.
Okay, I like
We have
that.
adequate players. That's what we have. But we don't have a fire. We don't have a passion. I mean, it's like, look at the results. Like, I'm not even talking about like how I feel about it. I'm talking about look at the fucking results that we get from our national team. And I'm not even like an anti-national team.
Awesome 32nd place finish in
Yeah.
2014 or whatever
Like,
it was.
man, I mean, there's nobody. I think a lot of times, Ken, this goes back. This kind of goes back to the MLS thing. Like America thinks it can steam into shit, and just because we're fucking stateside, we think we can dominate
We
shit.
have big foam fingers that say we're
Yeah.
fine.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And guess
It's a
what?
big foam
It's a
fucking
big-
finger.
It's a big foam finger.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't mean anything.
That's a great point
Yeah.
because one of my pushback, not to you guys, but in general, when it comes to the, as I call it, the domestic, soccer peanut gallery, who fucking screams and yells after every match and has the picture of the Titanic sinking. You all screamed and yelled, with your whole Europhile, leanings. Hey, let's bring in, this proven manager. After watching, Mauricio at PSG, I knew I was going to have that. There would be some issues, but it's like, you brought him here and it's the same thing. But you all think that he was going to walk on water, and be Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got a foreign name.
Yeah.
So he must be good. Well,
Yeah.
again, there's just no cohesion from a U.S. men's national team standpoint. The young players are spread so thin. They play all over the world because they have to. It's not like in England where 70% of those cats play in the same country, or Italy, or the major other international clubs around the world. They're at a disadvantage that way.
Yeah.
It's not easy for fucking Weston McKennie to know what Chris Richards is thinking in England, so it's not like they, the other guys, like the English guys, they play together every week. When they get into England camp, they kind of have so they are at a disadvantage that way.
Yeah.
So they're not inherently ass. They just look like ass because they don't have enough time together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So before I jump to something else, to something I totally forgot and definitely needs to be brought up here, but I have to ask this. We're talking about, the international club versus country. Okay, this generation, when you talk about Western McKinney, Captain America, CP, and Usopp and all these guys, supposedly the golden generation that was going to turn the page. Do you find this group to be highly underwhelming, if not a stone cold disappointment, in terms of all the hype and how they were supposed to actually reinvigorate, as you said earlier?
Yes.
Big fart.
Thank you, Adam. Yes, absolutely.
It's a big fart in church, and no one likes it. No, in all seriousness, I think the athletes, the U.S. men's, they just have things working against them. They play in totally different hemispheres, and there's just not enough time. With FIFA sticking more tournaments and games and more demands on the players,
Fair enough.
all of those extra nonsense games should be poured back into international breaks, but they're not. Yeah. It used to be where the U.S. international team, granted not the same era, but there was a lot more prep time because there was a lot less of these just superfluous tournaments and cash grabs. The FIFA Club World Cup.
Right.
Let's take PSG that's run 60 fucking games, run them 10 more games because that's the cash cow working.
You guys,
and then
where I was going,
and then send them into their domestic season all fucking tattered and torn.
Yeah, this is where I was going with fixture congestion.
Fixture congestion. That's a good word.
But back to international play. Back to the U.S. and the U.S. Soccer Federations doesn't schedule proper friendlies.
Yep.
They don't schedule proper competitive matches.
Nope.
Weston McKennie comes back from playing at Juventus and plays Suriname? How's that supposed to help him? How's that supposed to help us?
No. Yeah.
So that's U.S. So CONCACAF is a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like the fact that Copa America opened up to the North American teams. That's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, I think that has
purchase. I don't think CONCACAF is long for this world.
I don't think so either.
I agreed.
So that will help the international game in the sense that instead of coming from international break from Juventus to play Suriname, he's going to play Brazil. Guess who's going to get a lot better? The U.S. men's national team is going to get a lot better.
Yes, absolutely.
Playing against the likes of Brazil and Argentina, and instead of your Surinames and your
Kirks and Tacos.
Trinidad and Tobago and your other CONCACAF,
Yeah.
your other CONCACAF nonsense, right?
Yeah.
So I don't blame the players for the U.S. men's
No, not at all.
malaise and tragedy. Tragic. That's awful. Don't blame the players. It's the federation. It's CONCACAF, and it's just the FIFA schedule just insists on running these players into the ground.
Yeah.
So let me circle back on something here because I think that was great. That's exactly what I was, hoping to elicit as far as bringing this up. And I can't believe, talk about holes in the brain. I didn't mention this earlier, and it's, I don't know, when I talked about elephants in the room, this is kind of like the silent killer out there. I don't even know how to articulate this the right way. But, this big conversation that we're having, especially when we talk about the Americanization or American capital's effect on the global game, which is really huge and kind of redefining people trying to push, the American, like the Club World Cup, the league phase now of Champions League. The Super League is that, popular resentment was there and it was shouted down, but they're quietly working behind the scenes with FIFA.
They didn't
They didn't go away.
No, not at all.
And so I need to know what you guys feel about that component in terms of what you guys were talking about.
It'll win.
Yeah. Agreed.
It'll win.
Yep.
Your Super League owners will win. They will. Your Barcelonas, your Bayerns, your
Right,
top
the Big
teams,
Four,
they want to live in a world where they're not challenged.
Yeah.
taking the page out of the American sports book.
And that's that guarantee of immortality. Shit, I mean, Man City could get, they could have some bad injuries and or get points deductions and all of a sudden find themselves in championship. All their players leave. All their fandom leaves. And they're zero again. So anything to keep their supremacy going. And the Super League is that.
Truly.
No one gets demoted. No one gets relegated. Only the Barbies play the Kens. And it's all super perfect and plastic and billions of dollars roll through the system and everybody wins except for us, the people that are watching it.
Right.
So
for the supporters.
Yeah. Except grab the scarf, take your sack lunch, and go to your mates to the ground.
Exactly.
I think it will win.
Yeah.
Football authorities all over the world have proven time and time again that a quick bribe here and a quick grease of the palm there, no problems. Yeah. So short answer, yeah. It's kind of a cynical answer, but short answer, yes. I think so.
An honest answer.
Cynical. I don't think it's that cynical. I think it's very honest.
League will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen because
it's not where you're from, it's where you're at.
There's just a certain aristocracy that demands it.
Sure, and I just think that,
why compete against the middling people when we can always play the sexy teams and never get dropped?
Right, and it's kind of
every game's the fucking Super Bowl, and no one ever loses and no one ever dies.
Which is such a contrast to what we've been talking about, over the course of this conversation, and right,
wildly different,
right,
complete polar opposite from PSG, too big to fail, to fucking Pittsburgh Riverhounds,
right,
trying to figure out what's next,
right,
or could Cascades FC?
Oh,
if somebody wants to make a documentary and become the next Rux,
even further down the road, right? Even further down that maybe path. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's so compelling about all of this, and it's a great time to be a fan of the beautiful game life for good and bad reasons.
Yeah.
There's room for everyone, man.
Yeah.
If you want to see Super League play, boom, it's already out there. There's Champions League. There's, there's a CONCACAF level Champions League now.
Yep.
So if you only want to see the best of the best, which most people do, it's there for you.
Yep.
See,
it's available.
Yeah,
it's available.
There's room for both. I just think you need to get rid of some of the BS competitions that like this Leagues Cup, for example, which is just
Don't.
Well, that's a challenge, though, Ken. I mean, a lot of people would say, fucking Sporting Cascades. Who gives a shit? Like, well, we give a shit. I mean, so it's like, it's a very personalized dynamic. And each person's got to weigh that out for themselves. What are you looking to glean from the dynamic? What are you looking to glean from the sport? What are you looking to glean from what's available?
I look at the English pyramid. There's room for everyone, man. If you want best of the best, go pay £100 a game and go watch Liverpool. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You championship level, still magnificent football for slightly less. Even League One in England.
Yeah.
Which I would say the best League One team trumps the best MLS team.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd fucking smoke them like a cheap
If
cigar.
we're gonna get into
Like
that.
a cheap cigar, mate.
So there is room for it. There is, so that shows you there is, and that's just the economic pattern of humanity in general, man. There's a few ultra sheiks up here. There's a bunch of people that got a little money to spend. There's the rest of us that are on the level, and there's a level down here that has the needs but not the means.
Yeah.
And I think that football pyramid can exist in much the same way.
Yeah.
But all the pro rel up and down is too much of a heartburn for the U.S. owners, man.
Okay.
Build me a 15,000 stadium, and you're telling me that a couple of bad injuries and a couple of bad results, and all of a sudden I could not all of a sudden have this?
You're right, right. Everything could go away.
Everything could go away. I could just, instead of getting 15,000, I'm getting 5. I don't have the same revenue stream as I did before. I don't have the same ticket sales. I don't have the same exposure. So, but again, there's got to be those brave souls, those brave ownership souls out there that recognize they're going to eat shit for 4 or 5 years. Our previous owner was Dave Elmore, the owner of the Emeralds. Talk about eating shit. Minor league baseball teams eat
They eat
mountains
huge
of
shit.
shit.
Yeah.
Shit sandwich fucking.
Mountains of it, right?
Mountains of shit. Yeah.
Year after year after year after year. You get a World Series ring year after year after year. So it just takes a special type of owner to understand that.
Yeah.
And I think our baseball owners never got it. American type other sports owners don't get it. It's someone like a Sat who's got an international flavor, who understands the long game.
Yeah. They're playing the long game.
Playing the long game.
Not playing the short game.
But if you're Sat, you eat shit, you invest, you eat shit for a while. You're 40 mil in the hole after 5 years, and you sell your club rights for 100 million.
Yeah.
One step back to take 2 forward. So that's the kind of ownership it's going to take.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't see. American ownership, they want growth. They want
they want instant return on their investment right away.
What do you mean a down year?
Yeah.
What do you mean? But so I think that ownership group is becoming more and more apparent.
Okay.
I think there is more of an appetite for that.
Agreed. Yeah.
Well.
So the USL is providing them the path. If these fools want to lay down their money and see how it happers, then I'm here for it with popcorn.
Do you have concerns? There's so many. Okay, how do I say this? There's with MLX Next Pro, and that you worry about oversaturation because there are so many. These leagues. When I look at the Open Cup, and I'll sit there and go, "What league did you come from?" Especially in the early rounds.
Sure. Everyone wants to, everyone sees an opening for it. MLS Next Pro, I'm cynical about it from the get-go.
Agreed.
Should be.
Because that's just Lamar Hunt and Robert Kraft doing more Lamar Hunt and Robert Kraft stuff. They're not trying to improve the game. They're not trying to bolster the interest. They're not trying to develop anything. They're just trying to make more money.
Yeah.
So
They're just trying to pad.
I discount that straight away. Yeah. And if you're a fan in El Paso and that's your only option is your local MLS Pro team or whatever it is, then you go.
Yep.
You go get that. But, as a concept, I'm not for it. It's just MLS being more cash grabby.
Yeah. Agreed.
They're not developing anything. They're just it's like Starbucks.
But arguably they're not looking to develop anything. They're looking to develop their brand. That's it.
It's like
they're not looking to develop the game. They're looking to develop their brand.
Starbucks buys Seattle's best, and then keeps it as Seattle's best because people want to change. They don't want a difference. But guess who? The final dollar goes in that pocket.
To Starbucks.
Makes you think you have a choice when you really don't.
Yeah. And that's it.
So that's kind of that's a long.
The illusion of choice. It's the illusion of choice.
But if you're, if you're the rare individual in El Paso or wherever this MLS Pro next team is, and that's your local, you go support your local.
Yeah.
You go do that.
Okay.
It's not cynical for me at that point.
No, agreed. Absolutely.
Okay, so let me give you guys since we've gone, long, we've covered a lot of stuff. Give you guys a chance to give some closing thoughts in terms of how do I say this? Crystallizing this in terms of people who might be out here listening, and I think having you guys out here will definitely help get a wider audience. What do you tell these folks about the journey ahead as far as Pro Rel goes, and why they should be excited to step aboard this steam liner?
If you're living at the bottom level like we are at this fan, this is your opportunity to get on the rocket.
Yeah.
This could be the rocket. So there's that level of exposure that I want for the lower tier people like us. I really want people to understand that all of this hullaboo about Pro Rel and the expansion and all that can only mean a rocket ship for us. We're at the bottom already.
Yeah. we got nothing. We got nothing to lose.
So get on board. This thing can only go up.
Yeah.
The other angle is from I keep talking about these brave individuals that are going to be the ones to form this Division I USL League. Support those people. These are brave entrepreneurs. They're trying to put out a product that is, not only relevant and competitive, but superior. They really are trying to appeal to the integrity of the game. And I say when that gets out there, you see anything USL, give it a chance.
Yeah.
You're not going to see the production values. You're not going to get the traditional flash and glam that you do from regular American television.
Yeah.
But
the pyrotechnics and the flash and glam.
The wasted jumbotron of an outside goal.
Right. The drone show.
Right.
Yeah. But I just encourage people, give USL a chance. I do think, technically it is a superior league. I think the players are better because they have to be.
Yeah.
They're competing against, like-minded, skilled opponents, and they have to be sharp.
Yep.
I think the level of play is sharp. I think the games themselves are more compelling.
Agreed.
And with the promise of a Pro Rel subplot to all those games, that 4th, 5th place team all of a sudden gets exciting. That 16th, 17th place game all of a sudden gets exciting.
Yeah.
It opens up some new narratives, sports narratives, possibilities that you just don't get in American sports. No one's tuning in to watch a last place baseball team play another last place baseball team.
Yeah.
So, I just implore you, if you see something USL, give it a chance, lean into it a little bit. Don't try to make it a 1-for-1 comparison, but just give it a chance.
Yeah, agreed. I can't improve on that. That's exactly right. This is the same thing I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, support local football. It's as simple as that. Don't look for anything. Invest yourself where you can invest. Don't let what you can't do stop you from doing what you can do. And what you can do is support your local fucking football club. Support your local football club.
Easy.
It's as simple as that.
I'll buy you a ticket.
Yeah. Me too. I'll cover half that. Yeah, absolutely.
Come on out and see us. Give us a chance.
Yeah, it's there. It's there if you're willing to put the time into it. It's just people willing to put the time into it. That's it.
Okay, you heard it here, folks. And this conversation this is only the beginning because we're going to have to come back and actually have a conversation about this journey that we are embarking on coming, February?
Yes.
February, March.
February, late
March.
February, early March.
We'll see some preseason action around here.
Yeah.
Right, we have to debug that, and who knows where that conversation is heading. Appreciate you guys giving me the time and having the moment, with you guys to like finally have this conversation. It was fantastic, and I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy this. Please send your feedback in. If you have any questions for these scholarly gentlemen.
Yeah.
But no, this has been like really kick ass, and I can't wait. Like I said, SJ and Steph really wants to like do a podcast with you guys. So, yeah,
First of many, I hope.
first
Yes.
of many,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right on, Nate.
All right,
Yeah.
folks. I'll catch you on the other side of this, and we'll talk in a moment.
All right.
Cheers, Ken.
Cheers. Peace. All right. A strong and hearty thank you from the Foxhole to Adam and Lee for giving me the time to do this wonderful podcast. Looking forward to doing more content with them down the road. That friend of the show, SJ, and I want to talk to them again as we get closer to the inaugural season of Sporting Cascades FC. As I said earlier, great opportunity to get on the ground floor of something cool. Season tickets, at least putting your deposit down, it's in play. I strongly advise it. It's going to be a game-changing experience for those of us here in the 541. All right, folks, and I'm going to also drop that we're going to have 2 episodes of AfterShoX this week. This one's dropping number 7, and number 8, my usual reactions to what's going on in the sports world. And also, episode 283 of the regular audio podcast, Foxtrotting in a Foxhole. You'll know where to find that. I'll publish the links, blah, 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 blah. All right, folks, as always, stay sane, enjoy some adult beverages, good company, and all that cool stuff that you all do. Avoid the badge. We'll talk real soon. Peace out.